What's up, good people? Welcome back to Pardon Me While I Elevate and happy Tuesday. I have been realizing going over the past couple of episodes that the topics have been pretty like info packed or like a little less exciting, a little less fun. So I figured I would take this week to just introduce a topic that's a little more fun. So this week we're going to talk about collaborations. Okay. So, my whole life, I have been someone that has just loved brands that collab. So, there's so much to be said about them. I mean, working in fashion for 10 years, obviously, those types of collabs are really exciting and can teach you a lot about a brand. But then there's also like food collabs, and then there's also like cross category collabs like food with clothing or like an event space with this designer or like just so many things. There's been like artists with clothing, and even beyond the scope of what I'm aware of, like when you build a house you have like a contractor that comes together with like the painters or the floor layers or whatever. Maybe those are like not as much collabs, but just highlighting the fact that it doesn't have to be what everybody thinks of when they think of like a collaboration to be a collaboration. And we all come together to make something that our audiences are following are going to appreciate. So I think it was, there's constantly examples of this out in the world of just good brands that come together. It's also like an opportunity for, like, let's say I like a brand and then they collab with like a littler brand. Now I'm like, oh wow, like a brand I like likes this brand. So like now maybe I like this brand. There's just like so many examples of that across, or like I really like this brand and I had no idea about this brand and now I'm exposed to this brand, right? Like I said, within clothing there were countless really, really exciting collabs that I saw even just working within the industry, but also like not in my scope. Um, you know, there was like a collaboration between a clothing brand and Sweet Green, so it's like there's not really a boundary that you have to put on it. There's not really a place that you can't go if you want to go. And I think that a lot of the times for like these little brands, we get a little intimidated and we think to ourselves like, oh, that brand's not going to want to work with us, like they're so big, or they're so established, like why would they want to stop and hear what we have to say. But there's so much innovation that a little brand that's like really hungry and on their way up and like trying really hard to just get themselves known and to get people to like them and all these things, that hunger sometimes is what's missing from the big established brands. And when you collaborate, that big brand gets a little chunk of the inspiration, the innovation, and the hustle from the small brand, and then you can both sort of benefit from it. So like when I back in the day when I was working for Bergdorf Goodman, they had a collaboration, their first collaboration, because they've had a bunch since, but their first collaboration with Kith. And when I was first moving to the city and first getting, I don't know, maybe acquainted with the brands that are here, like New York City brands, Kith was one of the standout brands that I really loved. I've always loved them. Their quality is just very unmatched. And especially for like basics. Anyway, the two of them collabed. The owner of Kith has a lot of really big connections in the industry, and that has led him to some huge and phenomenal collabs. But it was really special for me because I was working at Bergdorf at the time, and they were collabing with my favorite New York City brand. So I just like had to get in, and I had to get one of these pieces. And that feeling of like I'm supporting two brands that I like, it's special, and it's this feeling of like this is not going to be available forever. There's not going to be a million lines of these things, and not everybody's going to have them. And so the special things that you can create when you do collaborations, they're timeless and people really value them, especially if they've just found out about you because of a collab or something. One of the best idea or like sort of examples that I have of a good collab that wasn't me is like, okay, think about if you're like a brand like Carhartt. You've been established for so long everybody knows you, everybody knows your quality and like what they can expect. You're very like tried and true. And then let's say you partner with like a streetwear brand like Supreme. And there's this huge following with Supreme because there's a lot of like limited edition stuff, and they're expensive, the price point's really high, and just like I said, hard to get. And so like they collab with each other and they want to make a tactical jacket. Let's just say I'm making this all up. Now they're going to sit down and their teams are going to say, okay, so we want to make a tactical jacket. They might have a bunch of other stuff in the line, but we're just going to focus on this. So because it's a tactical jacket, it makes more sense for Carhartt to be the one that uses their manufacturers, their suppliers, like for fabric and all of those things, because they already know the quality and the customer feedback from those things. But then they're going to have Supreme come in and design the jacket, because Supreme is really good with like their box logo and their designs and the things that people come to Supreme for. The best way to do those collaborations are using the tried and true quality of the garment from Carhartt, because we already know what it's hitting for, and then the designs from Supreme. And maybe, they agree to get like the next level up in material so it's like even nicer than the Carhartt jackets that you know. So now you have this collab situation where both brands are getting exactly what they want out of the collab. One of them has the materials, one of them has the design. They collab a little bit, right? They come together and they agree on all of the things. And then they make the jacket, but now the jacket can have a higher price point. Like for Carhartt, maybe a jacket, like where I'm from, to get a Carhartt jacket is like $150 or $120. But now that they're working with Supreme, they get to jack that price point up, because Supreme things are not going to be able to be sold for like a very small amount of money. So both of the teams win because the higher price point. Now the customer likes it because there's a lot of crossover with the customer that would support Supreme and Carhartt, right? So now they have two brands that they like coming together. They know what the quality is like. They're really excited for the design and they want this. It's creating this big want on the market. Now it's going to have lines out the door. No one's going to care about the price point because it's Supreme. They already know what to expect with those price points, and they're getting something that they feel is like one of a kind or a very limited run of this item, and it's not going to be available for a long time, and not everybody's going to be able to afford it, so you're not going to see everybody in it. There's just this huge chain of events and things that happen when you collab with brands, right? So it's exciting, especially for the customer. You're creating this big demand because you're not just like, oh, it's just another line of Carhartt jackets. Like, oh, they're coming out with new colors, but the designs are still the same. Or, oh, we know what it feels like. We know how warm it is. Like all these things. North Face did it with the designer Cause. There's just countless examples of how you can make something so exclusive. I mean, even Nike and Virgil, when they came together with Off-White, those sneakers still to this day, he's not even alive anymore, and still to this day, these sneakers are like so sought after. So even if you're a really, really small business or a small creator in any capacity, just don't be scared to reach out to a brand that you feel might be out of your grasp, because chances are you both have mutual things to gain. There's like a mutual benefit that you both have. And why not? You might as well try and shoot that shot and see if it works, because if a company is bigger than yours, they stand to gain innovation and like a fresh service or a product, depending on like what your business does. If you're both small, you can combine audiences or followings and like create buzz for each other. And then if you're the little guy collabing with the big guy, you get exposure from the following and the audience of the bigger brand, and you get like a bunch more sales, and you can let your product speak for itself. I think that a lot of the times, I can speak from experience, like you can say to yourself, oh, my product is really good and I really like it. But you don't 100% know how the audience, the customer base, the world is going to feel about that same product. You might be biased. You might, like something that other people don't like. You just have no idea. And even though you can be confident in how you feel about it, which is extremely important, you still need to have a little feedback, a little, the world telling you if you're crazy to feel like this or if they agree with you, right? So, you sell for a little while, you get your products or your service out on the market, and you just like see how the world responds. Um, I know that, like, for me, when I started to sell cookies in the very beginning, I was feeling like it was like a lemonade stand. I felt like a 5-year-old child, like out there needing mommy to help me, like, give change back. You know what I mean, though? Like, it just felt juvenile. And now the type of people that come up to my table are like people that own cafes or people that like have pop-up shops and like wanna have me come sell cookies at their pop-up shop, or like, you know, just countless things, like having events and wanting you to be one of the vendors or like anything. And I think that for me, once I felt the feedback and the like expressions on people's faces, like, oh my God, this is so good. Or like, I had your cookie, they'll walk by the table 2 days after they bought a cookie and they'll be like, oh my God, your cookie was so good. And like that reassures you that like you're not crazy and people do agree with you and that they like it just as much as you do. And it can build your confidence enough to reach out to these other people and maybe have collaborations. Like, I don't think in the very beginning I would have been brave enough to go up to any of the, events or cafes and be like, hey, you want to sell some of my cookies for me? Like, it just, I needed time to know how the world felt. And today I was walking my dogs in the morning, and this woman who I've seen her a bunch on the block, she must live in the neighborhood. She came up to me and we were walking by, we'd never talked before. And she was like, oh, you're the cookie girl, right? And I just like started laughing and I'm like, yeah, I'm the cookie girl. And she's like, oh, I got to stop by and try like your black and white cookie, whatever. And again, it's like this person knows my face now. They know, people have been talking about it. She's seen me outside. There's some recognition. And now I feel, a little bit more in the game. And this morning I walked by one of the cafes in my neighborhood, and the owners are amazing. They're just fantastic people. And all of the workers in there are like family members or extended family members. So they really take care of their own, which again, I love. And one of my neighbors had said to me, like, you got to pop in and see if you can talk to them about selling your cookies in there. And I was like, oh, like in the beginning, I'm like, oh, will you come with me? Like, I don't know if I'm brave enough to like do that. And she's like, yeah, sure, I'll come with you. No problem. Like, we just had to find a day. And so that was like weeks ago. And I don't know, after this woman like said to me, like, are you the cookie lady, the cookie girl? It kind of like gave me the confidence. So on the way back from my walk, I had to go to the grocery store to get a couple of things from my bake today. And I stopped into the cafe, and the owner, I know what he looks like. I walked up to him and I was like, hey, I ordered some stuff and I said, hey, you're the owner, right? He's like, yeah. And so I started talking to him about the cookies, and tomorrow I'm going to drop by with some samples for him to try the different ones that I have that I can offer him. And it was all in my head. Like, this person would have talked to me 2 weeks ago. Every single time I go into that cafe, he knows my order. Like, he knows me. He's so nice to me. He's always very excited and open. And it's just about believing in your product. And so these collaborations can look all types of different ways. You're the baker, he's the seller. Let's come together. You don't have a brick and mortar, he does have a brick and mortar. Let's come together. I mean, there's countless ways. Like this woman the other day, she came up to my table and she said that she has a pop-up that she does every single month, and she doesn't have any. So like every single event, she'll only have one beverage vendor and one food vendor, so that there's no competition with inside of her like events, because the rest of it is like clothing. So she just wants like little eats. And she tried my cookie and she was like, have you ever done pop-up events, or like, have you ever done markets or anything? So we started talking and she told me that this is what she does. And she's like, I would love to have you. I would absolutely love to have you come do a pop-up with me. And I'm like, this is how you do it. You just are not afraid. It's cool. The person that you interact with is nice, and like you click with them, you vibe with them. And it's so easy to just be like, let's do this together. Why wouldn't we? This makes so much sense. Why wouldn't we? So there's this excitement that you can build, just putting it out there that you would want to collab, putting it out there that this person that's already doing something cool, she's already been doing these events. She's not going to like wait for you to come on board for her to do these events. She's already off the ground running and she wants you to come along. Like, I don't know. There's something so beautiful about a person that believes in you and you've never even met them before, but they know that you guys can make money together and their fees to be part of it are like super cheap and super worth it. And you just roll the dice. There are women that walk by my table all the time and they're like, yo, this is the best location. Oh my God, you're so smart to sell your cookies here. And I've always known that. It's always very clear that it's smart because the UPS store that I sell my cookies in front of serves this massive area in Brooklyn and it's densely populated. So there's a ton of people that come to this location. So it's really good exposure. But you always think to yourself, like, what's next? How can I make this bigger? How can I do more for myself or do more for this business? What's the logical next step? I don't want to do farmers markets. I don't want to do any of those things. Collaborations, right? So I don't know. This concept came to me a couple of days ago about this collaboration thing, and it just makes so much sense. And I've had a couple of people reach out to me with orders to fill, and I was thinking to myself that one of my neighbors like a month ago, when it was really, really hot outside, it was like 100 degrees all week and I couldn't sit outside selling. She's like, you should start selling boxes on Instagram. And I'm like, sounds good. I'd never even thought about it. And then that week I sold 5 boxes. So again, it's like there could be a collaboration as small as just an idea, or there could be a collaboration as big as I reach out to some really big company and we get to work together. It's all about what you're brave enough to do and how willing you are to put yourself out in the world and to just like see see what it's gonna lead you to. And the other thing is like your customer base, your audience, right? When companies collaborate together, it shows the audiences what companies are like cool enough to work together, cool enough to work with the little guys, which ones are cool enough to work with their communities. These collaborations can say so much about a company. And like a lot of times, especially in more recent times, locally owned or locally sourced or, community togetherness, small business support, all of these things are like huge and very important. And when you can say things like, oh yeah, this baker, she sells right down the street and we have her cookies in our store, or like, oh yeah, this person's in my borough or in my city, right? So, or like women owned. There's so many different things that you can say, and they can set you apart and they can make the customer feel like they really want to support this. They want to be part of, the train of getting this off the ground. And I think that even people that come to my booth sometimes they'll be like, oh, I don't really eat cookies, but I'm going to see my granddaughter today and she loves cookies and I just want to support you. There's so much in these collabs when a person knows both brands. There's also a lot in these collabs when someone knows one of the brands. And it's kind of like if you were a musical artist and you're really established and then you have a feature with a person that's like just coming up. Now, you as this bigger artist can put your audience onto this person. And it's like this massive marketing tool because all you did was have a song together. Or like your audience is like, oh, wow, these two artists get along. Or they're willing to make money together. Like if this person likes this person and I like the, bigger person, then I'll probably like this feature person. There's love everywhere you want to look. And we just have to be brave enough to go seek it out, to show somebody that support and to hope that it comes back. But again, it's like if it doesn't come back, it's no problem. Like if I go tomorrow to that cafe and drop samples off for him to try and he doesn't like any of my cookies, what am I out? Like $2, for those cookies? It doesn't matter. It's not a loss. You put yourself out there and more will come. And there is this big concept of just asking yourself important questions that are actually going to help you. Like instead of saying to yourself, why can't I do this? Why does it keep going wrong? You can ask yourself things like, what can I do to make this go right? What's the next step that I can take to elevate what I'm doing or to make more money or to have more collabs? And when you put these more productive questions in your head, your brain is going to seek the answers to them. Instead of seeking answers to like, why am I not successful? That is a rut. And that is not really a question that you can seek an answer to because you don't know what you don't know. So instead of asking those questions that just pull you down and pull your brain down, if you ask yourself questions like, who could I work with? Or if I sat down and thought of my dream collaboration with whatever company I'm building or service I'm providing, what would be my dream collaboration? And then you're going to get this list, or even if it's just like one or two things, you will have your next direction of where you want to go. And don't be scared of how big it might be, right? If like you're just starting out, you've only, like me, I've only been doing this for like 2 months, almost 3 months. Um, and I'm not like out there, but so like all somebody has to do is bite your cookie and know your product and vouch for you. It's not a long process, right? So if I wanted to collab with some really, really big restaurant that sells all types of things, but they also, you know, had a cookie available on the menu, why not have it be you? If there's 10 coffee shops in the neighborhood and, two of them bake their own things and eight of them get sort of like like the corporate cookies or the baked goods that come into their cafe, why wouldn't they be open to conversations of like, oh yeah, I would actually much rather have someone right down the street bake these for me? Or, oh yeah, the timetable would be so much better, the turnaround time, or like if I ran out of them midweek, you could just bring some more over to me rather than me having to like place an order and wait for 2 days or like, whatever it is. So there's flexibility and opportunity everywhere you look, and you just can't be scared to go for it. I was talking to my mom the other day, and she was telling me that in her state, there are so many people that have just randomly started to do like pop-up tables on the sides of roads to sell things instead of getting a brick and mortar location or, small business loans or these big things to try and do something. They're just not wasting time. They're not waiting until they have the money. They're just getting outside and doing it. And while it's much easier to do those types of things in New York because everybody's so used to like street selling, the innovation is so dope. I love to see it because let's face it, okay? Millennials have been so used to getting the short end of every single stick. We don't have enough money to buy like a location or to pay the rent of a location just in order to sell a couple loaves of bread. You know what I mean? And it's a huge risk to try and open up a bakery or something. For the first year, people don't know who you are. They don't have brand recognition. They might not stop in. It's all about the location you choose. You might not be able to afford the rent. There's just like a million things to worry about. Insurance, employees, all this crap. But if you just use your own kitchen and you get out there and you sell, you're still making money. You're getting your name out there. You want to make sure you have good packaging and things like that to be memorable. The rest is just your product. And I just really love to hear that because you could never keep a millennial down. You could never tell us, no, we will figure a way out. It might not be the way that everybody else did it. We are still going to do it, right? In our own way, in our own time. Um, and it's it's fun. And I think in a time like this where a lot of people are really carrying some heavy things, there are a lot of troubles in the world right now. I think that we could all use a little break from just how heavy that can feel. And when you have something that excites you and that you really believe in and you want to put effort behind, sometimes for a month or for a week or like a capsule collection or a whatever, a day that you go and you collab with somebody else, it starts to feel like you're doing this thing, you're making it, you're outside and you're hustling and it's working, and there's just something really beautiful about that process and how that feels, how that can make you feel. And I think that everybody will get to a point where they just want a day that feels like that. They want a week that feels like that. You know how many days I've sat outside selling cookies and, maybe I only sell 15 and I'm like, or like now I got to throw out some cookies because I didn't sell them all. Those feelings suck. They suck. We're not going to sugarcoat it. They suck. Having a good sell day makes you feel on top of the world and like you spent your time well. And then other days you kind of feel like this sucks. But then when you are invited into a space that has a bigger audience and there's people in the pop-up all the time, it's like attracting people to it. There's Instagram marketing, there's on the street marketing. This person rents the same location, I believe, like once a month. So there's, people in the neighborhood that just walk by and they're like, oh yeah, I saw this last month, things like that. Um, it starts to give that to you too. So again, cross marketing, collab marketing, all of these things are just really special, and they can again make you feel like you're doing the damn thing. And I got to tell you, if this bakery lets me sell cookies in there, I am going to feel on top of the world. And it's not even going to be that big of a deal, but it's going to be a huge deal, right? um, just the feeling of knowing that a company, not just like a customer that walks by and randomly gives you $4 for a cookie, but a company wants to order your cookies and sell them in their store because they like the quality of them. There's there's joy. There's joy to be had. And even on the darkest of moments and the darkest of days and the hardest of economies and whatever else, there is joy, and you just have to find it. And you can't be afraid to really try hard to seek it and try hard to find it, because that's where it will be, right? It's not always going to be right on the surface, ready for you to take it. Sometimes you got to fight for it. And, other companies and other brands, other things, they can make you realize that you're not always in this alone, and that you guys can create buzz together that's bigger than either of you could create without each other. Because even the big brand that already has its own buzz is going to have more buzz because you're doing something innovative, you're doing something new, creative, you're collabing with someone that they maybe have never even heard of before, right? So it's special. And like, I don't know if you can agree, but I've been to like a million bakeries in my life, all over the countries that I've been to, the states that I've lived in. I am a baked goods snob, okay? And when I go into a place and I try a cookie and it's like banging, the first thing I'm like, did you guys make this cookie? Is this like from your store? And if they say no, I'm like, who made this? Where is this from? Or like a cinnamon bun that's like amazing. I'm like, where is this from? Who made this? And it's not like a common thing for me to feel like something is banging, right? So when it is, I gotta know. I gotta know who made this, where else they sell them, how many I can get my hands on. Um, and I will start to recommend that place because, hey, something that tastes good has got to get its credit. There was this a long, long, long time ago, like maybe before COVID, I found this banana bread company on Instagram. It's Allie's Banana Bread. And it's amazing. It's truly amazing. She does absolutely amazing work. And banana bread is like one of my favorite things. So she was selling loaves on Instagram. That was like her first thing. And I bought a loaf and it was incredible. And then I kept following her and I was seeing what she was doing. And she was like collabing with these little ice cream shops in the city, like Cafe Pana was a big one that she did, which was huge because they have a brick and mortar location and they are so popular and their ice cream is amazing. She was doing really innovative, smart things with her business because she didn't have a location. Then she was like going on talk shows and people were getting her, in these places that she might not have thought about as just like a little banana bread company. Now she's killing it and she's on gold belly. She can send her banana bread across the country, just doing cool things. And just because of banana bread, just because of a product that's like really, really good. So I just want to round this out by just saying, like, have faith in what you're doing. Have faith in the services you provide or the products that you're putting on the market, because chances are people, lots of people, thousands of people are going to agree with you. And you are going to find your people. You will find your audience, and it will become something as long as you are dedicated, as long as you keep the momentum up, and as long as you prioritize the 10 things we talked about last episode. Just allow yourself to feel the joy in your own success. And these collaborations can play such a big part in that. And I can't help but to want that for all of you guys, everybody doing this and starting something and being scared and doing it anyway, being brave. And yeah, that's my message. Find collabs, seek them out, offer them. Don't be afraid if someone says no. It doesn't mean everybody's going to say no. And start to every single day think a little bit bigger for yourself and think about, even if you feel like something's out of your reach or out of your range, what would be your dream collaboration? Even if you're like, you know, I don't know, like a house painter and you want to collab with, oh my God, like a pottery artist, like a ceramicist. I don't know. I'm just making some shit up. But like, things can happen. Things, motion, all of it. It's not far away. It's not hard to figure out. All you have to do is sit around a table with that person and come up with how you're going to make this thing work. And it is going to be so fun, so exciting, and it will put new life into you. And that is what I want for you. So if you want any help with this, of course, as always, you can reach out to me for my support in my company called Nectar Brand Therapy. And if you want to collab with me in any way, I would love to talk to you about what that might look like. And I encourage you all to dream really big and to never stop believing in your product, your service, whatever, and reach out to that person. Walk into that, if you're better in person than you are on paper, walk into that company and say, hey, I would love to talk to the owner if he's in today. And don't be afraid to be like, I really admire your business. I walk by it every day, or I use it a lot, and I love what you guys are doing, and I would just love to collab with you. See where it leads you. You got nothing to lose. Okay? So, on that note, I will leave you for the week, but I hope you have a lovely week, and I will see you next Tuesday. See ya.